My name is Kara Blake, and I just turned 24 today. Instead of celebrating, I'm grinding through a grueling 12-hour shift at St. Joseph's Medical Center. My phone buzzes, breaking the hospital's sterile calm. Another message hits like a punch to the gut. We sold your vehicle. Household comes first. Be grateful we let you live here, rent-free. My heart drops. That vehicle was everything to me. Every single penny earned from my healthcare income went into it. Then the second message arrives. My brother's college fees, $5,800 due this week. They've taken so much from me before, but this time feels different. I don't quite grasp how just yet. Growing up in the Blake household, that meant only one thing: control. My father, John, ruled with an iron fist. My mother, Rachel, followed him like a shadow. And then there's Tyler, my younger brother, the golden child who could do no wrong. This household dynamic shaped my childhood memories, a weight I carried alone. I started hustling at 16, babysitting kids in the neighborhood and snagging weekend shifts at the local grocery store. By the time I hit 18, freeloading was off the table. Rent payments were my new reality, $400 a month, straight to my parents. Still in high school, and yet my contributions didn't seem to make a dent. Meanwhile, Tyler lived lavishly. His room was a gamer's paradise, filled with expensive sneakers and gadgets. Every whim of his was funded. Sports equipment, his first vehicle, you name it. A stark contrast to my struggle. But financial strain wasn't the only battle. When I earned a small scholarship for community college, guess what? My parents demanded it for their roof over my head, and that pearl necklace my grandmother left me? It somehow found its way around my mother's neck at a household reunion. "Household shares," she said, dismissing my questions with a smile. But with that last message weighing down on me, something is stirring inside. The scent of rain wafts through the hospital's back doors. I can feel the leaf rustle in the wind, and it's like an awakening. It's time to reclaim my life and redefine my worth. Will I break free from these invisible chains? Will the blood bond with my household hold me back or propel me forward? Tension hangs in the air, but I refuse to let it suffocate me. This is where my story begins, and it's going to be one worth telling. The city streets blurred around me as I drove, the rush of independence mingling with a gnawing feeling deep in my gut. My phone buzzed, snapping me out of my thoughts. A message from work. "We need to talk about your promotion. It's not what you think." My heart dropped. What could that mean? After everything, was my past about to catch up with me, just when I thought I'd broken free? My independence had come at a price. From babysitting kids at 16 to hustling through clinical rotations, I had fought for every inch of progress. And now I was a charge nurse at St. Joseph's Medical Center, finally feeling like I had achieved something my household could never take from me. The small celebration with my colleagues, the cupcakes, the stethoscope charm, those moments were everything. My success felt real, and for the first time, I was in control. Then there was the vehicle. My vehicle. It wasn't much, an old Toyota Corolla, but it was mine. My hard work, my money. I'd saved for 2 years, scoured ads, negotiated the price. When I brought it home, my father's words stung. "Could have gotten you a better deal if you'd asked." But I didn't care. The keys in my hand were a symbol of freedom. But home was different now. Tension had built since Tyler Blake, my younger brother, received his college acceptance letters. My parents were so proud, plastering them all over the fridge like trophies. "Your brother's going places," my father kept saying. The unspoken message hung over our dinners. Why couldn't you be more like him? I'd spent years holding the household together while Tyler Blake, the golden child, lived lavishly. And now, as they held a household dinner to celebrate Tyler Blake's acceptance to State University, I finally understood their plan. They didn't just want my support, they expected it. They'd been plotting to use my savings all along. The weight of it settled in my chest as I pulled into the driveway. Was it worth it? Would my independence be enough to break free from their hold? The rain started to fall, the scent of fresh earth filling the air. The familiar chill wrapped around me as I glanced at my phone again. The buzz of the message still echoed in my mind. And then the question hit me. What if everything I fought for wasn't enough to protect me? Kara Blake stood in the dim kitchen, the hum of the refrigerator masking the silence between her and her mother. The scent of lemon cleaner lingered from her earlier scrubbing, but it couldn't erase the bitterness rising in her chest. Her fingers tightened around the grocery receipt she'd just found crumpled in the trash. She had paid for everything again. And yet, her mother's voice echoed from the hallway. "We need to focus on Derek now." Kara Blake clenched her jaw. Was she really still just an afterthought in her own household? All the years of working double shifts, juggling bills, and keeping this household afloat, and she was still invisible. Every grocery trip, every utility bill, Kara Blake had been the backbone of this household, but here they were, expecting her to sacrifice everything for Derek's future. Again. It wasn't the first time they'd pushed her aside, not the first time she'd had to swallow her disappointment and bite her tongue. But something inside her was breaking, and this time, she wasn't sure she could stay quiet. She glanced at the clock. She had to get to work, but as she reached for her keys, she hesitated. This wasn't just another day. Her birthday was tomorrow, the one day she'd hoped to be celebrated, the one day that might finally give her a sense of self-worth. But it was clear now. It wasn't about her. It never had been. The thought stung, sharp and bitter. They weren't just dismissing her day. They were using it, manipulating it. The quiet, well-planned betrayal of her birthday was all part of their bigger scheme. They thought they could count on her, and they were right. But this time, maybe not. Kara Blake felt a tremor of anger twist in her gut. Was this how it was always going to be? The sacrifices? The expectations? She had worked too hard, come too far to be stuck in this cycle. But could she finally break free? Could she take control of her life when it felt like everything, household, responsibility, loyalty, was pulling her back? The clock ticked. Her heart raced, and the rain began to fall, the sound of it steady against the window. She turned, one last time, toward the door. Would her independence be enough to push past the chains of expectation? Or would she continue to be the invisible force holding everything together while they took everything from her? This was the moment of truth. What would Kara Blake do next? The noise of the bustling hospital swirled around me, a constant reminder of the chaos I navigated daily. But there, in the midst of it, came Amelia. She approached me at the nurse's station, a cupcake in hand, the flickering candle casting a warm glow against the cold, fluorescent lights. "Make a wish," she whispered, her voice soft, knowing how much I dreaded attention. That small act of kindness hit me harder than I expected. Tears welled up, threatening to spill. For a brief moment, the weight of my own existence felt lighter, like I mattered. "We're grabbing dinner after shift if you're up for it," Amelia continued, nudging me back into the present. I nodded, her invitation like a lifeline, something to look forward to, unlike the loneliness I felt at home. As I made my way through the day, Dr. Reynolds passed by offering an offhand compliment. "Birthday girl still working? Dedication right there, Sanders. This place is lucky to have you." His words, casual but genuine, contrasted with the hollow praise I received from my own household. By 2 p.m., I was almost forgetting about the emptiness inside me. Almost. Then my phone buzzed, pulling me back to reality. Expecting a birthday wish, I checked the screen. But it wasn't what I hoped for. "Dad," the message read, "we sold your vehicle. Household comes first. Be grateful we let you live here rent-free." I stared at the words, disbelief crashing over me. My vehicle, the one I bought with my own money, was gone. And then came another message. "Tyler Blake's starting college next month. You'll cover his first semester, $5,800 due this week." I felt my fingers tremble, my breath catching. The heat of anger coursed through me, immediately followed by a cold wave of shock. How had this become my life? The constant giving, the expectations, and now this. My household using me, draining me, without a second thought. My own birthday, a day that was supposed to be about me, reduced to another act of sacrifice. Was I just meant to accept this forever? Or could I finally stand up for myself, claim my worth, and break free from this never-ending cycle? The clock ticked on, and I wasn't sure what the answer would be. The fluorescent lights in the supply closet buzzed quietly overhead, a sharp contrast to the storm building in Kara Blake's chest. She stood there, clutching her phone like a lifeline unraveling. They sold her vehicle, the one she bought with her own money. Gone. Just like that. Not a conversation, not a heads up, just a message. We sold your vehicle. Household comes first. And now, they wanted her to pay over $5,000 for her brother's tuition, because she lives rent-free. Her fingers trembled. She called her dad. Straight to voicemail. She called her mom. Fourth ring. "Kara, I'm busy right now," came the sugar-coated voice. Laughter in the background, Tyler's unmistakable cackle. "Mom, what medications dispensed, vitals checked, parents reassured, all while my mind raced with calculations and scenarios. The $5,800 represented most of my apartment savings fund. The vehicle was worth about $12,000, money I would never see, according to my father's messages. By the time my shift ended, I had received 3 more texts from my father, each one more demanding than the last. "Dad, we need the tuition money by Friday. Dad, your mother is stressed about this. Don't make things difficult. Dad, household obligations come before personal wants. We raised you better than this. I canceled dinner with my friends, promising to reschedule. This situation required immediate handling, and I needed all my energy for the confrontation ahead." The irony wasn't lost on me. Another birthday celebration sacrificed to household drama. The bus ride home took 45 minutes compared to my usual 15-minute drive. Each stop gave me more time to strengthen my resolve. This would end tonight one way or another. When I walked through the front door, the smell of pot roast filled the house, my mother's go-to meal for household celebrations or difficult conversations. The table was set with the good dishes. Another warning sign. "There she is," my father called from his recliner, not bothering to look away from the television. "Birthday girl finally home. Dinner's almost ready." I set my bag down carefully. "Where's my vehicle?" "Sold it this morning. Guy gave us cash." He finally turned to look at me, his expression challenging. Good timing, too, with Tyler Blake's tuition coming due. "You had no right," I said, keeping my voice steady. "That was my property." My mother emerged from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. "Let's not start the evening with arguments. I made your favorite dessert. Chocolate cake doesn't fix theft, Mom." Tyler Blake bounded down the stairs, oblivious to the tension. "Hey, tuition fairy," he joked, punching my arm lightly. "Dad says you're covering first semester." The tension in the room was thick, almost suffocating. Kara Blake's refusal hung in the air like a storm cloud, waiting to burst. Her father's fingers clenched tighter around his glass, his gaze shifting to something unspoken, a flicker of something deeper, darker. In that moment, Kara Blake spoke, her voice steady yet resolute. "I've been carrying this household's weight for too long. It's my turn to put myself first." The words hit harder than a slap. Her father's expression faltered, his facade of control cracking like glass. The truth she'd kept buried for so long came rushing out, raw and unapologetic. No one spoke, but everything changed. Kara Blake had spent years adjusting, sacrificing, and bending to their demands. And in a single moment, she realized it had to end. Dinner was served, but the conversation was a mask. Weather, hospital gossip, her brother's college assignment, all distractions, all avoiding the truth. But the silence couldn't last. Finally, her father broke it. "So, about Tyler Blake's tuition. We need the check by Friday. Kara Blake's fork hit the plate with a soft clink. I'm not paying for Tyler Blake's tuition. The room fell silent. Her father's fingers gripped the glass harder, knuckles white. What do you mean, you're not paying? Her mother jumped in, trying to smooth things over. Kara Blake, be reasonable. We've given you everything. A home, support through nursing school. Kara Blake's eyes didn't waver. I paid for nursing school myself. I pay rent. I buy groceries. That vehicle was mine, and Dad illegally sold it without telling me. Her father's face turned dark. After everything we've done for you, you call this ungrateful. Kara Blake didn't flinch. I pay $400 a month in rent, plus utilities, plus groceries. That's not free. The facade was crumbling. Then maybe it's time I got my own place. Tyler Blake's smirk faltered as he stared between them. Wait, so you're not paying my tuition? Kara Blake's gaze locked on his. No, Tyler Blake, I'm not paying your tuition. In that moment, Kara Blake knew. This wasn't just about money. It was about finally taking control of her life, and the Blake household would never be the same again. Kara Blake stood frozen, her heart pounding as she faced her father. The anger bubbled beneath the surface, a boiling storm waiting to erupt. It felt as if the air was thick with betrayal, and the scent of rain wafted in through the window, adding to the tension. When her father laid bare his treachery, it struck her like a lightning bolt. This wasn't just about money or a stolen vehicle. This was a deep-rooted cycle of hurt, an echo of generations weighed down by failure and resentment. As the room thickened with unspoken words, Kara realized the true cost of household support. Why had no one ever challenged the status quo? Was entitlement all they knew? Dad sold my vehicle illegally, she blurted out, the words escaping like a gasp. And now I'm supposed to fund Tyler Blake's tuition? That's insane. Her father's face turned crimson. Your brother deserves an education. We support each other, Kara. Kara chuckled bitterly. Funny how that support is one-sided. When I worked double shifts to pay for nursing school, where was the support then? When I took the bus to save money for uniforms, where were you? That's not household. Her mother's tears dripped onto the table like a broken dam. Why are you doing this? We're household. Household doesn't steal. But that wasn't true. Not anymore. Her father's voice rose, shaking with emotion. You have two choices. Pay the tuition by Friday or find somewhere else to live. Kara stood, matching his fierce gaze. Is that your final decision? Because if I walk out that door, just know, you're dead to me. His words sliced the air. No daughter of mine would be so selfish. In that moment, Kara felt a shift within her, a liberation. I'll have my things out by morning. A gasp of disbelief echoed in the silence. Her mother's face twisted in shock. What will you do? I'll figure it out. I always do. Tyler Blake smirked, trying to diffuse the tension. She's bluffing. She always caves. Remember when Dad took her graduation money? But this time, Kara felt different. She had finally stepped out of the shadow of the Blake household. No more playing the victim, no more adhering to their flawed legacy. This was her chance to reclaim her worth. The air around her hummed with uncharted possibilities. The Blake household would never be the same again. Not this time, I thought, my back to him. Happy birthday to me. His voice echoed up the stairs. You'll regret this decision for the rest of your life. I felt a spark of defiance within me. They didn't know this was long overdue. Once in my room, I shut the door and leaned against it, my heart racing. 24 years of playing along shattered in one conversation. Yet, beneath the anxiety, there was something else. Relief. I sunk onto my bed and pulled out my phone, ignoring the notifications buzzing from downstairs. 3 missed calls from Amelia. I called her back. Kara, she said, her voice filled with concern. Everything okay? We're at the restaurant wondering where you are. I need a huge favor, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Could I crash at your place tonight? Household situation. It imploded. Of course. Do you need me to come get you? I'll grab an Uber, thank you. Next, I dialed Casey, a fellow nurse who mentioned there were openings at her apartment complex. Any chance that one bedroom is still available? I need to move. Immediately. While my household carried on with their dinner downstairs, I took stock of my life. Clothing, important documents, nursing gear, and personal keepsakes piled high. What could fit in 2 suitcases? What truly mattered? As I sorted through them, memories surged, like the scent of rain that fills the air before a storm. My first paycheck from the hospital, and Dad demanding I chip in for a household vacation that only covered their trip to Florida. The Christmas gift from my aunt, $300, held by my mother, never returned, and the student loan refund check that somehow disappeared into household expenses. Each time felt like a minor inconvenience, but, strung together, they revealed a sinister pattern of financial manipulation. This wasn't just about money, it was about control, about household dynamics weighing me down. Mama, why'd you let this happen? It felt like an echo of a question I never asked. I paused, inhaling deeply, the musty scent of old books mixed with fresh laundry filling my lungs. The deeper I dug, the more my resolve grew. I was ready for battle. The phone call ended, but the unease lingered in the air. I stared at the screen, finger hovering over the end call button. What would happen next? I had made my decision, but the storm was far from over. Was this the beginning of my freedom, or the start of my biggest fight yet? My heart raced as I stared at the forged signatures, the weight of betrayal sinking deeper into my chest. Was this all part of their plan? The once familiar walls of my life now felt like a prison. Could I ever reclaim what was taken from me, or had I lost everything? The truth was just out of reach, like a shadow that flickered with each move I made. What would I do next? I pulled out my laptop, shaking off the feeling of betrayal, and checked my bank accounts. Rent, student loans, and daily expenses had drained most of my savings, leaving me with just $7,000. Not enough for the best apartments, but enough to start over. Then a text from Tina, a nurse friend. My cousin manages Ridgeview Apartments. Budget-friendly, safe neighborhood. Want me to call her? Support came from unexpected places. People who had noticed the subtle cracks in my life stepped forward. As I dug through my closet, I found something that stopped me cold. The vehicle paperwork. The original title was in my name, but the registration? My father's signature forged beside mine. Methodically, I photographed everything, every document, every receipt. In my desk drawer, I found nearly $25,000 in rent receipts, money I had paid for 6 years. For tax purposes, they'd said. But now, those scraps of paper were a damning record of how they'd used me. But the deeper I dug, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about money. It was about control. I had been their pawn for years. I wasn't just a daughter. I was their lifeline, drained and used. Around 10:02, I heard my parents' bedroom door close. Derek's video game sounds drifted under my door, but I kept packing, methodical, steady. I pulled out my birth certificate, social security card, and passport from their hiding place. My nursing degrees went into a protective folder, the stethoscope my clinical instructor had gifted me. I had everything I needed. But the hardest part was yet to come. Could I finally walk away? Or was it too late to undo the damage they had done? The tension was thick, and the next move would decide everything. As Kara Blake sat hunched over her laptop, the soft hum of the late-night silence enveloping her, something caught her eye. A strange transaction buried deep in her spreadsheet. One more row to add. And then she froze. A withdrawal labeled simply with an M. It was a payment made the day before her grandmother passed away. The room seemed to tilt, and her heart skipped a beat. Was this it? Had her grandmother been part of this scheme? The woman who had always been a beacon of warmth and love in her life, now part of the betrayal Kara had been running from. The shadows in her cluttered room grew deeper, creeping over her as doubt gnawed at her. Could everything she thought she knew about her household be a lie? The faint scent of rain drifted through the window, mixing with the distant sound of a leaf rustling outside. Kara's mind raced. She could feel her entire world shifting. Every memory of comfort, every gesture of kindness from her grandmother now felt tainted. Had she known? Could she have known? With a sigh that felt heavier than it should, Kara pushed the thought aside. The truth, whatever it was, had to come out. She had spent too many years being used, manipulated, and drained of her worth. But this was different. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about her life, her identity. Fingers trembling, Kara added up the numbers once more. The vehicle sale, 6 years of rent, money meant for student loans. All of it had been siphoned off. A staggering total, over $43,000. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. For years, her household had built their life on her back. She wasn't just a daughter. She was their escape plan, their ATM. But no more. Around 1 a.m., the house fell quiet. Tyler Blake's door had clicked shut, and her father's distant snoring barely reached her ears. Kara worked swiftly. She compiled everything. Every receipt, every bank statement, every twisted detail that had kept her bound to this life. A formal letter. No anger, just facts, legal documentation, and a cold resolve to take back what was hers. The final package, 27 pages of betrayal. 3 copies, 1 to keep. 1 for the lawyer who specialized in household financial abuse, and 1 for them, her household, to find. By 2 a.m., Kara was done. She could leave now, but would she? The truth was out there, waiting to change everything. The clock ticked past 3 a.m., and Kara Blake stood in the dim glow of her childhood room, a place that had once been filled with the warmth of household and the echo of dreams. Trophies from high school, textbooks from nursing school, and a bulletin board lined with photos of hospital friends, each item a reminder of who she used to be. Yet tonight, they felt like relics from a life she was leaving behind. Her grandmother's words rang in her mind, soft but clear. Always know your worth. Kara had heard those words 1,000 times, but it wasn't until now, standing on the precipice of her future, that she truly understood. The weight of the past, the betrayal, the years spent supporting a household who saw her as nothing more than a means to an end, all of it came crashing down on her. And for the first time in her life, Kara felt something stronger than the pull of household duty. She felt the power of reclaiming her own identity. As she quietly moved through the house, her steps were calculated, learned from years of silent hospital shifts. The house creaked around her, a familiar sound that had always meant safety. But tonight, safety wasn't here. Tonight, she was breaking free. In the kitchen, she placed a single copy of her documentation, 27 pages that told the story of her financial exploitation, on the counter. Bold letters marked the title, Household Financial Accounting. It wasn't hidden, but it wasn't screaming for attention either. They would find it when they woke. They had to know. Her phone buzzed with missed calls, messages from her household. Her father calling her ridiculous, her mother pleading for her to return, Tyler Blake complaining about his college plans being ruined. No apologies, no understanding, just more of the same. Kara took a deep breath and sent a single message to her mother. I'm safe. It was all she could say, because for the first time, Kara wasn't going to apologize for taking control of her life. I can still hear it. My father's voice, always louder than the rest of the house. The scent of his cigarette smoke lingered in the air, thick and stifling. I remember feeling small in that moment, surrounded by their expectations and judgments. The frustration on his face was a mirror of everything I couldn't control, and that moment, silent, tense, felt like the turning point. I had stood there, trying to breathe through the weight of it all. I wanted to shout back, but all I could do was listen and plan my escape. It had taken years for me to get to this point, years of sacrifice, of putting household before myself, of watching my dreams fade while they built their own lives at my expense. But as I stood in the shadow of that house, feeling its walls close in on me, I knew something had to change. The world outside felt vast, unknown, but it was mine. It was finally mine to take back. Don't contact me. Then, silence. I muted every notification from them. I couldn't look at the missed calls, the constant messages. No more demands, no more guilt. I stepped outside, my heart pounding in the emptiness. The space where my vehicle should have been felt like the final symbol of everything they'd taken from me. All the years I spent as nothing more than their caretaker, their tool, gone. And it was time for me to let go. I waited for the Uber, standing at the corner, suitcases in hand. Patricia, the driver, glanced at me with a quiet understanding. She didn't ask, just said, "Long night?" "Long life," I replied, trying to sound strong. "But it's getting better." When I reached Amelia's apartment, she was waiting for me in the lobby, tired but awake. She didn't need to ask what had happened. "Guest room's all yours, for as long as you need," she said. "Want to talk about it, or save it for morning?" "Morning," I whispered, already feeling the weight of everything crashing down. But in that moment, I was grateful. Grateful for the quiet, for the safety, for the new beginning. I collapsed into the bed, the first peaceful sleep I'd had in years. The next morning, I woke to sunlight streaming in and the smell of coffee. It took a moment for my brain to catch up. Then everything hit me. The birthday, the vehicle, the fight, the escape. My phone buzzed in the corner, still silenced, but Amelia had already heard it vibrating. "Your phone's been blowing up," she said, glancing over. I pulled it out. 27 missed calls, 43 texts, voicemails, messages, mostly from household, but even from extended household, friends, anyone who had access to my parents. They found the document, and there was one message that stood out. My Aunt Susan, my father's sister. "What did you leave behind? Your father is apoplectic." Kara Blake's heart raced as the final notification pinged on her phone. She stared at the screen, frozen. The weight of her household's desperation clawed at her insides, while their words rang in her ears. The rain drummed sharply against the window, a rhythm matching her spiraling thoughts. What have I unleashed? She wondered. The stakes were rising. As she weighed the cost of her truth against the suffocating pressure from her household, a dreadful question emerged. Could she ever truly break free? Did she really document everything? Years of it? Kara Blake had no idea the storm she was about to trigger. Her household was in complete panic mode. Her father was calling everyone, demanding answers. Sipping her coffee, Kara Blake scrolled through the aftermath of her departure. The digital messages were a whirlwind of anger, guilt, and panic. Her mother's messages twisted from fury to manipulation. "How could you do this to us? Your father could lose his job over this." And then a desperate plea. "Please come home. We can discuss this rationally. Tyler Blake is devastated. His future is at risk." But her father's messages? They were a different beast. "This is slander. We gave you everything. You'll regret this betrayal. No one will believe you over your own parents. Legal action is coming your way." And the most chilling message of all, what will it take to make this go away? Name your price. Kara Blake's gut twisted. This was no longer about household. It was about money. Her father's response to her revelation of years of financial exploitation was to treat it like another transaction. But it was Tyler Blake's message that hit hardest. "Dad's going ballistic over whatever you left. What did you do? Did they really sell your vehicle without permission? That's messed up. What's real here? Tyler Blake, her brother. The first sign he might not be as complicit as Kara Blake had thought. Maybe he wasn't entirely blind to the household's dynamics. Then another text from Susan. Your father is on the porch arguing with neighbors who came to complain about the shouting. Your mother hasn't stopped crying. I'm in shock reading these records. Had no idea things were this bad. Can we talk? Kara Blake responded to Susan's message. I'm safe, consulting with legal counsel today. We'll contact you when I'm ready. Amelia, ever the quiet observer, watched Kara Blake process the storm of digital chaos. Household drama was going nuclear. They found what I left behind, Kara Blake explained, voice barely above a whisper. A complete accounting of every dollar they've taken from me. And that was the moment Kara Blake realized. There was no turning back now. The steam wrapped around her like a suffocating cloud, each breath heavier than the last. Kara Blake stood in the shower, trying to clear her mind, but the vibration of her phone pulsed through the air. She reached for it, and a new wave of messages flooded in. What did you do? You're tearing us apart. Each notification carried its weight, but there was one that hit her like a slap across the face. A household gathering photo, frozen in time, their laughter a stark contrast to the hollow ache in her chest. She hadn't been a part of it. No, she was the one left out, the one discarded. And then came the truth. This wasn't about household love or unity. It was a trap. They weren't trying to support her. They were suffocating her, forcing her back into their control. Was this what she'd been fighting for? She glanced at the photo again, her heart pounding. That's when the shift happened. She wasn't just fighting to be heard anymore. This was a battle for her freedom, her self-worth. The realization made her hands tremble as she typed her response. There was no going back now. Her fight for her own life, her own financial security, wasn't just personal anymore. She was up against a system built to exploit her, to silence her. But she wouldn't be silenced. Kara Blake wasn't just a daughter anymore. She was a force, and it was time to reclaim her power. Her household might be scrambling to save face, but they had no idea what was coming. The messages kept coming. Each word, each text felt like more shackles. What's going on? Why are you doing this to us? But they didn't know. They didn't know what it felt like to be drained, to be used for their gain, to be the silent support system while they pulled every penny they could from her. She had the proof now, and there was no turning back. I'm meeting with a lawyer at 11, she replied. Then I'm apartment hunting. It's time to start over. The weight in her chest lightened just a little. The offer from Amelia to have her back nearly broke her composure. She had support, real support. For the first time, she wasn't alone in this. And maybe that's exactly what she needed. But then, the next message buzzed in. Her uncle, her cousin, her household system pulling itself together. All of them scrambling to restore the order they had always known. They didn't understand. They thought she was the problem. She wasn't. She was free, and that terrified them. Before heading to her lawyer's office, she sent one final message to the entire household. For years, I've experienced financial exploitation from my parents. Yesterday, they sold my vehicle without my permission and demanded I pay Tyler Blake's college tuition. I've left documentation of all financial abuse with legal counsel. I'm safe, but I won't return. Please respect my privacy. And with that, she turned her phone off. The storm wasn't hers anymore. It was theirs. The meeting with Judith Bennett, her lawyer, went better than expected. Kara's proof was solid. The vehicle sale, straight-up fraud, the rent payments, a pattern of control. By the end of their 90-minute consultation, they had a plan. First, a formal demand letter. Kara Blake was taking back what was hers. What had started as a fight for survival was now a fight for justice. And Kara Blake wasn't about to back down. The scent of rain lingered in the air, a fresh start begging to be seized. Kara Blake wasn't just breaking free from her household's expectations. She was tearing the chains off. The memories flooded back. The worn-out leather couch that wrapped around her like a shroud, the flickering lamp casting shadows of doubt, her father's disappointed glare etched into her mind like a haunting whisper. "You'll never make it on your own," her mother had declared, the edge in her voice sharper than a knife. But that voice? It only fueled Kara's fire. She refused to let them be right. Not now. Not when her life was finally within her grasp. Kara's world was shifting. Just moments ago she texts her household, revealing the financial exploitation she had endured. "For years, I've been used," she typed, heart racing. "They sold my vehicle without my permission." Each word felt like a declaration of independence. Then she hit send. A weight lifted, replaced by fierce adrenaline. The storm was no longer hers. It belonged to them. Facing the lawyer hadn't been what she expected. Judith Bennett sparked a new hope. The sordid details of her household's control, financial fraud, deceit, and betrayal became her arsenal. "We'll settle this," Judith assured, her voice steady. "They won't want this mess aired in public." Later, standing in a modest apartment, Kara signed the lease with a newfound confidence. Ridgeview Apartments wasn't where she pictured herself, but it smelled of possibility. "You can take the furnished option," the manager offered. "It's all set up. Bed, table, essentials." The cost pinched, but sleeping on the floor was a hardship she wouldn't endure. By late afternoon, she had an apartment, legal representation, and the inkling of a life reclaimed. Turning her phone back on felt like stepping onto a battlefield. 112 missed calls stared back at her. Tyler Blake had reached out, his message raw, like a wound freshly bandaged. "I had no idea," he texted, confusion spilling from his words. The first crack appeared in the household's facade. For the first time, he saw the truth. "Dad keeps changing his story. I don't know what to believe." Suddenly, it wasn't just her fight, it was household dynamics unraveling. As her bank pinged alerts warning of attempted fraud from her household, Kara realized the path to self-worth wasn't just personal. It was an act of rebellion against the very ties that had once bound her. This was only the beginning. The phone buzzed again, this time an unsettling weight in Kara Blake's hand. The sterile, empty space of her new apartment contrasted against the vivid memories of her childhood home. The clamor of old arguments, the smell of cleaning supplies, the harsh words from her father. Aunt Susan's voice pierced through her thoughts, frantic, desperate. The words tangled in her mind, a haunting reminder of the household she was trying to escape. "Your parents are falling apart," Aunt Susan's voice echoed. "Your father's been on the phone with lawyers all day. The police came today." Kara Blake's grip tightened on the phone, the tension in her chest rising. Every word from Aunt Susan felt like another knot tightening around her. It was happening again. The chaos, the lies, the manipulation. Her past had followed her, but she had fought too hard to turn back now. "I'm safe," Kara Blake said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "New apartment, new start." Aunt Susan's voice softened. "I had no idea things were this bad. John Blake's always been controlling, but this is different. He's tried to get 3 lawyers, but none will touch his case after seeing the documents." Kara Blake's resolve hardened. The documents don't lie. Another pause. "What about Tyler Blake's tuition?" Aunt Susan asked, her voice filled with guilt. Kara Blake's chest tightened. "He'll survive. A semester late won't break him." But it was more than just tuition. It was her vehicle. Her vehicle that her father had tried to steal, listing it as stolen when the police caught him with forged documents. Her heart sank. This was it. The tipping point. The consequences were real now. "Your grandmother would be proud of you," Aunt Susan whispered, a rare note of pride slipping through her concern. Kara Blake's breath steadied. This was her fight now. No going back. The household's web of lies was crumbling, and she was the one holding the threads. Kara Blake always sensed that her dad was too controlling with money. The call with Aunt Susan replayed in her mind, painting a vivid picture of a household chaos. Dad, raging and panicking. Mom, cycling through tears and blame. And Tyler Blake. He was becoming more withdrawn, torn apart by the weight of our household's true dynamic. After the call ended, I sat in my nearly empty apartment, surrounded by suitcases and basic furniture. Everything I owned fit into this tiny space, yet somehow I felt richer than ever. I pulled out my phone, and there it was, a text from Amelia. "Dinner at my place tonight. The whole crew is coming. No birthday should pass without celebration." Later that evening, I was enveloped by laughter and warmth at Amelia's place. Colleagues turned friends surprised me with gifts. A plant for my new apartment, gift cards, even a framed nursing license to replace the one I had left behind. "To Kara Blake," Amelia toasted, raising her glass. She finally realized that her worth isn't determined by those who try to diminish it. That night, as I settled into my apartment, the emotional weight of change hit me. I grieved the household I had always wanted but never had. My heart burned with anger at years of exploitation. There was fear, yes, but also profound relief. I was finally living for myself. My phone buzzed again, and messages from household rolled in, each carrying the weight of my departure. My dad's furious words rang out. "Is this what you wanted? To destroy your household?" Mom pleaded, "Please call us. Your father is talking about moving to avoid embarrassment. What will people think?" And Tyler Blake, confused and hurt, reached out. "I applied for student loans today. Dad's furious. Is that why you always seem stressed about money? Were they taking yours all along?" As I raised my glass to celebrate, the joyful atmosphere shattered when an unexpected video call from my father popped up, his face twisted in rage and desperation. The warmth of my friends faded, replaced by the icy grip of my past. Laughter became a faint echo, the tension crackling in the air. There I stood, on the edge of a huge decision. Would I confront my father or lean into the love surrounding me? Kara Blake sat on her brand-new couch, the scent of fresh paint still clinging to the air like a quiet promise. Outside, Chicago hummed, a distant low rhythm of sirens, buses, and lives moving forward. Inside, it was hers. The couch, the walls, the quiet. All of it. Hers. She leaned back, eyes closed. The old chair from the Blake household, the one her father insisted she keep because it was still good, was gone. Replaced by something she chose, something she paid for with her own hands, her own time, her own freedom. But then, the memories crept in. The heavy silence at their dinner table. Her father's voice always just shy of yelling, always right. The way her mom avoided eye contact during arguments, brushing guilt under the rug like dust. The way money just disappeared. The way love Kara Blake sat quietly on her new couch, the soft cushions cradling her like a long-awaited exhale. The faint scent of fresh paint still lingered in the air. Sharp, clean, full of promise. Outside, Chicago buzzed, distant sirens, buses exhaling at stops, voices echoing down narrow streets. But inside, silence, peace, ownership. Every corner of this apartment felt earned. The walls no longer whispered memories of slammed doors or tight-lipped dinners. Her old life, the Blake household, her Kara sat on her brand-new couch, the faint scent of fresh paint still lingering in the air. Outside, Chicago hummed, a city full of life, a rhythm Kara was beginning to sync with. Inside, everything felt different. The silence was hers, the space hers, the control hers. No more shadowed dinners at the Blake household, no more her father's sharp voice or the invisible weight of her household's demands. She had earned this. But even in this moment of victory, the past lingered, creeping into her thoughts, pulling her back. Flashback. The constant pressure, the endless sacrifices. Her dad's voice, just loud enough to sting, always right, always ready to remind her of her place, and her mom, always so careful, never making waves, burying guilt with a smile, money disappearing, opportunities slipping through her fingers, while Tyler Blake, her golden child of a brother, seemed untouched by the chaos. Kara had had enough. The tipping point came when she had saved for a vehicle, something she worked tirelessly for, only to have it taken from her. And the tuition demand? That was the final betrayal. Not just a financial request, but a reminder of how they saw her, not as a daughter, but as a resource. But Kara didn't back down. She fought for her independence, for the life she knew she deserved. After 3 months, Aunt Susan called. A quiet meeting at a neutral restaurant. Just her, Tyler Blake, and Kara. No parents, no judgment, just the raw truth. Tyler Blake, confused by what he'd never seen before, admitted it. How much his parents took from Kara, how much they overlooked. He apologized, and the weight of his words hit Kara deeper than she expected. But it was more than an apology. It was a revelation. The realization that their household's patterns weren't unchangeable. They had been stuck in their roles, but change was possible. Kara wasn't just fighting her household anymore. She was fighting the roles they tried to force on her, the idea that she was just a cog in their system. And in that moment, with Susan's hand on hers, Kara saw something she hadn't in years. Hope. Hope that the old patterns could break. Slowly, but surely. The evening didn't fix everything, but it set a new course. Kara and Tyler Blake, two people from the same household but worlds apart in their understanding, found a new way forward. Not as they were told to be, but as who they truly were. In a dimly lit attic, Kara Blake rummages through dusty boxes, their weight heavy with forgotten memories. Suddenly, her fingers brush against a weathered envelope nestled among cherished toys and old scrapbooks. Heart racing, she pulls it out, unveiling an unexpected photo. A blurry image of her father grinning beside a younger Susan, radiating joy at a household gathering. She gasps. This was before life shattered under the weight of household dynamics, before Susan became her anchor. What does it mean that Susan, the woman who stepped in when her parents didn't, holds secrets from Kara's past? The realization crashes over her like a tidal wave. Her father once leaned on Susan for emotional support. What does that say about their household loyalty, their betrayals? This new lens reshapes everything. 6 months after that life-altering birthday revelation, Kara receives a letter from her father. It's not an apology. It's a notice. "We're selling the house," it reads. "If you want anything, come get it." As she and Tyler Blake sift through boxes of childhood memories, an unsettling truth dawns on them. Their dad, stubborn and prideful, won't admit he was wrong. But everyone knows. The household name, once so important, now carries the weight of social fallout that couldn't remain hidden. In the chaos of cleared spaces, Kara discovers a sealed envelope on her stripped bed. Inside rests her grandmother's pearl necklace and earrings, returned without a word. An unspoken acknowledgement of the wrongs that lingered. Today marks a full year since she first asserted her independence, setting in motion a wave of changes she never thought possible. Now, as she sits in her new apartment, a true home filled with the aroma of fresh paint and the faint scent of rain, her career thrives. Financial stability blooms, and the anxiety that tainted her childhood encounters with her household has faded into a past she's learned to navigate with confidence. Tyler Blake visits often, their sibling bond rekindled on healthier terms. Susan invites her to holiday gatherings, crafting new traditions that weave hope into their lives. Extended household members reconnect, liberated from their parents' omnipresent shadow. Yet her parents remain distant, figures shrouded in the complexities of legacy. A past she's no longer tethered to, but rather one she's learned to rise above. As Kara reflects on this journey, she wonders, was it worth it? Every struggle, all the heartache? The answer resonates through her newfound strength. She's not just reclaiming her identity, she's rewriting the narrative of her household, a story built on resilience, determination, and the unwavering belief in her self-worth. Who knew a dusty attic could lead to such profound revelations? Occasional updates drift in, household news now wrapped in a fragile detachment. My father's early retirement, my mother's health struggles. I absorb it all with compassion, yet guard myself fiercely, holding tight to the hard-won pieces of who I am. One lesson stands out, shared by Judith Bennett during our final meeting. Household isn't just DNA, she told me. It's respect, support, and love without strings. And, oh, how I've built that household. Friends who've become sisters, colleagues cheering for me, a brother reclaimed from toxic ties, and extended household who chose connection over duty. This freedom I fought for? It's blossomed into authentic relationships. Bonds grounded in respect, not obligation or exploitation. The household I always deserved is finally here. If my story hits home, let me tell you, you deserve better. Financial abuse in families often hides behind a mask of obligation. But real love? It doesn't take, it gives. It doesn't exploit or place price tags on affection. What boundaries do you need to draw in your own life? Have you faced similar struggles? Let's talk about it. Your thoughts matter. Remember, sometimes the bravest act is saying no more and stepping into the life that's truly yours. Thank you for being part of my journey. I'm wishing you courage as you navigate your own path.